the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 257 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, it sure is a relief that we don't have much to discuss this week.
Well, I was going to say it's a relief that I did the show notes today and got the date right.
Right? That is a miracle.
Man,
It's
I think
amazing.
everybody was on pins and needles waiting to make sure that we got the date right.
Right.
So we got that drama out of the way.
Yeah.
Not that we have any other drama to get through today.
At least we can get calls, right? Right?
Good. What? I wouldn't put too much credibility on what we've got going on here, man.
That's true. That's true. You've got a good point there.
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy,
Eric,
James.
I don't even know, so I was messaging you earlier today, and I don't even know what to say about what is going on. And my default was, I'm going to let Eric cook this whole episode and just hype you up. I don't know if that's the route you want to take, but that might be the best way to go.
Well, I'm tired. It's been a long day, so I might not be quite as animated as I was earlier. But if anybody's been following me on Twitter, I've been trying to pick some fights on Twitter this week, ever since the race, because a lot of people are ragging on the point system, and I will listen. I will say it here, just like I said on Twitter. I will go to bat all day long against the old point system versus this point system. Our current point system is as close to perfect as we've ever had it in NASCAR. It is significantly better than the old point system, pre-chase point system. It's better than the chase point system. I think it rewards consistency and winning a perfect amount and creates the drama without being too gimmicky. And I will argue it to the death of me. So come at me at T Super Speedway on Twitter. Give me a reason, and I will argue it, and I will be right.
I told you earlier this week, or maybe it was today. I don't even know. Maybe it was yesterday. I've lost track of time. There's been so much. But would you rather have some drama with the points, or would you rather be F1 with a month and a half left in their season?
Yeah.
With no drama whatsoever. It's already over.
Yeah. I mean, look, the only thing I could say is I could see there being a different solution than a single race to win the title. I don't know what that solution is. Maybe it's another 3-round playoff. I don't know. That's the only place I could waver. That's the only place that's not perfect to me. Yeah. I'm okay with what we have, and I think, as we've said before, this is the format these drivers race under. Somebody tweeted at me that I don't know, one of the races would have been only within like 3 points back if they would have had the old. But no, that doesn't matter because they race under the current system and they race differently under the old system. So those arguments are invalid. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I will defend the system. I think it's pretty darn close to perfect. And I'm good with that. Now I will be willing to criticize NASCAR when necessary. I'm certainly not a NASCAR fanboy. And this might be one of those episodes, James. I wasn't going to listen to the teardown this week because Jeff pretty much said he was negative throughout the whole thing. Yep. But I listened to some of it, and I was annoyed at how annoyed Jeff was. And now I feel like I'm coming to this one the same way. But I don't know. I guess
you don't like Mopey Jeff?
No.
Oh, man.
Not a big fan of Mopey Jeff, although I do love that Jordan Bianchi's there to egg him on.
Oh yeah,
that makes it more fun. But
I feel like we are the light version of Jeff and Jordan.
Yeah,
because I feel like I can be your Jordan.
Yeah,
and get you going in certain instances, but sometimes you do the same for me. So
right, and
that's why I feel like we're not so much in character like they are. But
and I would never rap on the podcast.
Right. Yes. So. Yes. I had forgotten about that.
Sorry. Oh yeah. I don't know how you could ever forget about that. Sorry, Jeff, but
yep, he did that.
That was rough.
He did do that.
So at the risk of being a negative Nelly today, we're going to get into it anyway. We had the Bank of America Roval 400 this weekend, James. You could call it the Bank of America Roval, 5 laps? Because that's really all that mattered.
the last Make America 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I think might be.
Well, I mean, it depends on if you're counting the red flag or not.
Yep. Ducking the sign.
Yeah.
400. I don't know. It's,
right.
This was. I remember the first Roval and how exciting that was and how it delivered on so many ways. This race did not. It was the complete opposite. And mentioning Jeff, his good race poll was 19%.
Yeah, right.
The lowest road course of all time. So this car just doesn't compete, I guess is the right word.
Well, this car is too good.
Yeah.
It's too good. It's too easy to drive.
Yep.
And I know that you've got drivers in teams that will argue, well, they're out of control or they're on the edge of control. But I'm sorry, the car has too much stability. The reason that
they're too equal. The cars are too equal to each other.
Well, the reason that the old boxy car that sucked on road courses was good on road courses is because it sucked on road courses.
That's right.
Listen,
that was quite a sentence, man.
Well, I mean, it's true though, and if you think about it, what is the best racing? It's when these cars are hard to drive. Where is this car the hardest to drive? 1.5-mile tracks.
Yep.
Where's the best racing with this car? 1.5-mile tracks.
Yep.
The old car was harder to drive on super speedways and road courses. Guess where the best races were?
Yeah.
Yep. So, we've taken, and I think Jeff and Jordan talked about this. We took 3 disciplines that we loved: road courses, short tracks, and super speedways, and we ruined them. And we took the 1.5-miles that we hated, and now they're the best racing we've got. So,
yeah, right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, but
this is the Eric, an argument we've been over a long time ago, and I think has trickled into the conversation one more time this week is horsepower.
Yeah.
We are possibly not making enough horsepower is another factor here. I don't know how big of a piece of that pie is.
Here's the thing, James. Do you know why we reduced the horsepower in the Cup Series?
To level the playing field a little bit and make it cheaper for new OEMs.
We did it to bring new OEMs into this sport because nobody's building an 800 horsepower street car.
That's right.
Well, I'm so happy we've got all these new manufacturers in the sport right now. They are. It's just. I mean,
we'll talk about that.
We got manufacturers coming out of our ears right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that shortly, won't we?
Yeah. Ask the teams. The teams want to build 1,000 horsepower cars. Let's do it.
Kevin Harvick wants 1,000 horsepower engines. Yeah.
Let's do it at North Wilkesboro next year. Try it out and see how it works. Before we dig into it, because we got all kinds of little things to hit. Let's start with the positive, James.
Let's get through this race.
We had a walk-off moment. We had a walk-off home run in Christopher Bell, getting it done when he needed to get it done. This guy was going home. He was the only guy, other than Alex Bowman, who was going home, had to win this race, and he gets it done at the end. What about that?
And it was not his day.
No.
He led 2 laps on the day, but strategy and put them in the right spot, and that late caution gave him every advantage he needed to get away from Kevin Harvick late. And it was had no business to win this race. This is
not only that, but it's a Toyota on a road course for one.
Yes. Yep.
I mean,
yeah, this was not as shocking of a victory as I've ever seen because of the way this race was. It lacked the drama throughout the day until very, very late. But when Bell got that caution, it was clear. The guys on fresh tires were making up a ton of ground throughout the field, and a couple other guys had fresh tires who made some runs too. But
and they talked about it on DBC too this week, that the reason that the teams with fresh tires were doing so well wasn't because there was tire fall off.
That's right. It was pumping them up.
Yeah, well, it was pumping them up, and the tires were getting hot. And when they got hot, they lost grip. So because they had cool tires, they were able to come through the field, which is what made the ending so crazy because we had that long red flag.
Yep. And
now suddenly everybody's on equal ground again.
Yep. Yeah, that was I don't know where to rank. This is the 6th time this has happened where guys had a walk off.
Yeah.
This one, because as far deep as he was, this one's extremely important. And
I'd say it's pretty big, James, because he was nowhere in this race. Like, we never...
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but there was no point in this race where I'm like, yeah, Bell's going to do this.
Yeah, exactly. He was nowhere to be found.
Even at the end, I didn't think he was going to do it. He had to get through Chase Elliott. He had to get through A.J. Allmendinger.
Well, and if you're Bell, now you've got a legit shot at a title here, because remember, he's won at New Hampshire. He could, if he can find his way to Phoenix, which I think he can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he'll be pretty fast at Vegas.
Hey, Toyotas are good at Vegas.
Yeah, he'll be good at Homestead too. So if he can position himself here to, you know, I don't think we're going to have a lot of guys winning and getting into the final race the way this playoff has gone. He's just got to kind of points his way through. I think he can get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely an interesting one to look at this point.
Yeah. He's a player here. And remember how he started the playoffs. He was a man on a mission,
mm-hmm.
had a little bit of bad luck in, you know, the second round, but obviously bounced back in the best way possible by locking in. So he's going to be a little bit of a problem here. He's had some consistency that I think will play well here for him moving forward.
We had a lot of issues for drivers in the playoffs in this round.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Daniel Suarez, who had power steering issues throughout the day. Bummer for Suarez because this team was so good this year. And just a freak thing knocks him out of this race. But can you imagine trying to the onboard shot of him holding that steering wheel and like literally yanking
mm-hmm.
that steering wheel? Man, that guy is tough.
Yeah, he said he thinks he's the only driver who could have wheeled that car around that track.
Yeah.
He's strong, man.
Yeah, he is.
People forget about him laying out Michael McDowell.
Right?
He's a tough dude.
You can take Michael McDowell down. That's
a lot of
strength.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Eric, the big one though, I think we would do ourselves a disservice if we didn't start maybe here.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson is not going to be able to defend his title now. And it was, in the words of Kyle Larson, his fault.
Yeah.
He let his team down. They were in all day.
The thing is, a lot of people want to blame the system for Larson falling out, but the dude hit the wall when he absolutely didn't need to push.
Exactly.
He could have just coasted through this race and made it.
And this was a theme of his a lot this season.
Yeah.
This is not the first time this has happened to him. Put that team in a bad spot. They were able to get the car repaired, but the craziness that all went down after that caution on that last restart, which I guess we can get into now because it's all one thing. But you know, Larson makes a huge mistake, makes himself vulnerable, and opens the door for Chase Briscoe to take his spot, basically.
And Briscoe was on a mission.
Yeah, Briscoe was coming, and Bell was in the lead, so he basically, either one of those guys don't make moves, Larson's in, but Bell wins the race, so bumps that 8th spot out, and Briscoe gets the points he needs. He gets the 2 points that he needs. And you know, drove like a madman. I mean, I know he used some guys up. Like, he used up Eric Jones. Yeah. And Eric was not happy about it.
Can't blame him.
I understand. Like, the playoff drivers are playing a different game than the other guys. But, you know, the controversy you mentioned, well, let's get into it. A lot of people thinking Cole Custer severely blocked to give Chase the chance to win. Chase,
let's do this before we get there. We
got to set this up.
I want to start with the caution.
Let's do it.
So we had a caution for a piece of signage on the track.
Yes.
I think it was Chase Briscoe who said that had been on the track for 20 laps. I think Chase Briscoe is exaggerating a little bit. Also, if you're Chase Briscoe, you probably shut your mouth because you got in because of that. So without that piece of debris on the track, you weren't getting into the next round. But anyway, either way, I think we could probably argue it was there for a lap or two at least. What are your thoughts on the caution, James? Okay with this caution or not?
Oh boy. You know,
say you're not, because I'm going to argue against you. Here's the thing. Let's not forget, James. Let's not forget, and I put this on Twitter. Let's not forget that Danica Patrick lost an opportunity to win potentially her only Xfinity Series, only NASCAR Top Series race ever, because of a shoe on the racetrack.
That's right. Montreal.
So I get that this is just a cardboard or heavy paper banner on the track or piece of sign or whatever, but you don't know how that's going to kick up or hit something on a car or affect somebody's day. In the end, you have to throw the caution for it, I think.
Yeah. I am okay with it because it's on the racing surface. If it was
Yeah.
laying in the grass,
Oh yeah,
next to the track, I let it go. But yeah, it's on the racing surface. You got to make the call.
and they mentioned on DBC that this continues to happen. So why the hell are we putting signage on the track to where it can end up?
Oh, we
on
had
the
a
racetrack?
car with a sign stuck to the front. Remember?
Right, but the reason
Or
that they do that is because that sponsor just got exposure when the car drives through the sign. I mean, come on,
Yeah, of course.
that's great for that sponsor. I mean, Sargento made a whole deal out of theirs with I forget who it was that hit it in the Xfinity series, but
Haley.
a few races. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Haley hit one Saturday. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was okay with the caution too. I'm not going to disagree with you because I felt like it had to be called.
Now,
There's
if
a lot of
if you're
cautions
NASCAR,
that-
you're looking for that caution because you want this race to be spicy at the end, and it wasn't.
Right.
I mean, it was going to be a snoozer. It got as low as it did on Gluck's poll. I think it was lower. It would be lower if we wouldn't have had the chaos at the end.
Yeah.
So-
and it got
let's-
wild from there.
We start there, and then let's talk, James, again before we get to the Custer thing, just about the all-out insanity that we have at the end of these races now when we get a late restart on these road courses. Everybody drives like an idiot. It's embarrassing to a certain extent. And again, a lot of people are arguing that this format causes this. And I don't disagree, except the thing is the format has less to do with it. And it has more to do with the fact that these guys are all freaking buddies. If you ran Terry Labonte off the track like this, if you ran Dale Earnhardt off the track like this, if you ran Ricky Rudd off the track like this, do you think you're going to walk back to your hall, or do you think you're going to get your ass whooped on pit road? Seriously. These guys don't do anything about it. They sit there and they get on their little Twitter and type on their phones, and they mouth off to the microphone, and then they go back to their haulers, and the next week they're buddies again.
Yeah. The thing that I will add is this is a product of the system that NASCAR has created.
Yeah, it is.
NASCAR has not policed driving. Sorry for that. But that's the emphasis here, though. There's no.
No, you're right.
You know, it's been boys have at it. NASCAR's let these guys police themselves, and we've gotten to a point where I feel like, honestly, the reins need to be pulled in a little bit because it's a little out of control with how.
This is where you and I disagree because I like the chaos.
I like
love
the
it.
chaos.
It doesn't happen every week.
Right.
It happens. I mean, we've had it really once in the playoffs for the most part.
But we've gotten now a couple of guys spinning people out under caution. That's another thing
that's a different story.
But there's a lack of the guys like you said, Eric. They're all buddies, but they also don't respect each other either.
Right.
They think they can do whatever they want, and
they're not going to hurt anybody in their minds. Well, except now lately you might.
You might.
And again, the worst that somebody's going to do is they're going to bump into your car next week.
Yep.
Or they're going to yell at you on Twitter.
Ty Gibbs, you're shoving people on pit road while there's people standing out there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, we've got a case study being built here the last few weeks of some pretty dumb things going on.
Well, can I just petition right now, James, that let's just get it out of the way. No random debris cautions, none of that stuff. Let's just throw a competition caution with 20 to go at Martinsville. Let's just make sure that the end is exciting. 20 to go, throw the caution. Boys have at it.
You might want to make it 5.
I don't know. I think 20 gives you enough time for a couple of restarts. I think you're good there.
Well, 5's going to get you a few restarts too.
True. That'll get you overtime.
Yeah, that's
multiple
right.
overtimes.
Yeah, Martinsville, we're in trouble, I think, with Martinsville. So we'll see how that goes. But
so let's talk about it, James.
Let's do it. Let's get it.
Talk about so Cole Custer, potentially in the eyes of Scott Miller, at least among maybe others at NASCAR.
Yep.
Potentially holds up a couple drivers on the backstretch. Doesn't affect anything because at this point, Chase Briscoe's already in.
Yep.
But NASCAR throws the gauntlet down on him.
Yep.
And what is it?
$100,000 and a crew chief suspended indefinitely. Both the driver and crew chief suspended, and 50 points.
No, the driver's not suspended, is he?
No, I'm sorry. The crew chief suspended.
Yeah, crew chief's suspended.
Yes, I'm sorry. Crew chief suspended indefinitely. Both have a $100,000 fine and 50 driver points to Cole Custer.
Good penalty, James?
No. Stupid. Stupid penalty.
So the only thing I will say about this, who's Cole Custer's crew chief? Anyway.
Oh, it's oh, I had it at the tip of my tongue. Uh-oh. Hold on. I got this.
I'm gonna find it before you do.
It's on Racing Reference. It's probably right there. I probably could have just clicked it.
Where the hell is it?
Mike Shiplet.
Okay.
The crew chief. Sorry, I knew that.
So,
I knew it was off the top of my tip of my tongue. I couldn't quite get it, but yes, Mike Shiplet.
So Mike Shiplet, first of all, why do you do something stupid? Why do you make an obvious call over the radio that is not something that anybody would ever say on the radio? Why can these guys not? They have code words for every freaking pit stop that they make.
Right.
Why can they not come up with a code word for this scenario so they don't get in trouble for it?
I don't even know.
Because if it wasn't for the audio, there's nothing here. And
so
I don't
dumb.
think the audio really does enough either. So here's my deal, James. I don't have a problem with the penalty. I have a problem with the lack of consistency of these penalties.
100%.
If we start penalizing guys for holding drivers up in the lead when they're lapped cars so their teammates can catch them, like we see at these 1.5 mile tracks all the time, if we start penalizing that, if we start penalizing Chase Elliott for doing what he did to Kevin Harvick at Bristol last year, if we start penalizing people, we start penalizing Joey Logano for suddenly developing a vibration at Bristol when it was convenient. You know, if we start penalizing all those people for this stuff, then I am totally fine with this penalty. But
You can't call each individual one differently.
No.
And the problem, this goes back to what we were saying a few minutes ago. It's a systematic failure that is going on right now because
they have lost control in the tower.
You're telling me, Scott Miller, I'm coming for him now that I'm ready. So you're telling me you're going to let drivers rough each other up, spin each other out. You can't get the Byron call right in Texas with Denny Hamlin. You're going to let all that crap go. But this is the one you want to pick your battles on.
Right.
And
James,
that's the thing. Like you're letting the drivers police themselves, and then you just pick and choose which times you think you don't want them to police themselves.
Right. And so they didn't see supposedly what happened to William Byron and Denny Hamlin.
That's such crap.
But they saw this one so quick that they were announcing before the race was even over that they were looking into this.
Because they were just infuriated.
Well, I mean, it could have something to do with the fact that it's a Stewart-Haas car.
Maybe. I think they're under the microscope after the Harvick thing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Again, they have completely 100% lost control in the tower at NASCAR right now.
They don't know what to call. They don't know what's a ball and what's a strike. They don't have any idea.
Nope.
Scott Miller, let's be frank. Scott Miller doesn't know what the heck is going on.
No.
And nothing in the penalty mentions that, by the way, Chase Briscoe drove his ass off, and it really didn't matter if he was getting blocked or not. And I would argue that Cole Custer maybe slowing down a little bit early into a corner is a whole heck of a lot less blatant than what Chase Elliott did for laps upon laps at Bristol.
Oh, but that was a driver taking it into his own hands. That's what Scott Miller said, James.
Well, wasn't
he was being instructed to do it. That's Scott Miller's argument. I'm not agreeing with him, by the way. I'm totally agreeing with you. Okay, here's one for you.
I almost had to.
Here's one for you. What Ty Gibbs did at Texas was significantly more severe than this.
Yes.
And he got a slap on the wrist.
Yep. I can't. Eric, I told you, I don't know what to say about this stuff. Like, it is so dumbfounding to me that I don't know.
The only thing they got right here is that they didn't put Larson in. If they'd have pulled a Jeff Gordon and put Kyle Larson in the playoffs, I said today I would have signed out of this podcast. We would have come on and we would have said, "Welcome to the Super Speedway. We're done. Peace out."
let me counter argue that point, Eric.
Yeah.
NASCAR didn't get that right. They were conveniently given a situation where it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because Briscoe had the points.
That's true.
It's easy to be a big tough guy and make these calls when the results don't matter. You're giving a guy a 50-point penalty who is basically 30th in points.
Right.
Who cares about a points penalty? We haven't known that Cole Custer's been on the track all season long.
Right,
what
true.
is a 50-point penalty to Cole Custer?
Custer's happy right now. His sponsor's got some exposure. Nobody's known he's been out there.
I know, and his sponsor, my father-in-law, by the way, it works for his sponsor. So kudos to Autodesk. I'm glad they got some plug here. But god dang, dude, it's the easiest thing in the world to be the tough guy when everything's on your side.
Yeah.
Now if you were to penalize Cole Custer and the points swing would have put Larson back in, that's great. However, people forget the biggest reason Kyle Larson's eliminated is because NASCAR screwed up in the first place and got beat on an appeals call.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they couldn't get a call right at Texas and got their butts kicked in the appeals process and had to change the rule book. So Hendrick has to swap a Larson spot for a Byron spot.
Right.
In this situation. It's such a convoluted situation.
Not only that, but
Eric, I'm yelling and I don't know why.
Why did we wait an extra week for the appeal?
I don't know.
That is a disservice to everybody in the playoffs because nobody knows what they're racing for because nobody knows where Byron is.
Exactly.
And Byron gets terrible.
Byron gets in because he gets his 25 points back and he makes the cut by 11, right?
Yeah,
something like
that.
Yeah, Eric, you said it best. The tower has lost control.
Complete control.
Scott Miller has lost control of what's going on up there. And if NASCAR, if Steve Phelps has been out here, God loves Steve. He's done a lot of great things.
Yeah.
He's out here selling the sport and doing all these things. But if you're not fixing what's going on inside your house, everybody can see you got a bad marriage externally. You need to go back in. You need to go home and you need to fix it. You need to sit down with your spouse and you need to fix it.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of problems leaking out right now, and it's Eric this season because
it started off so good, James.
Oh, I know. It's completely off the rails. Ever since
the greatest
Daytona
season ever.
We were having a great run.
Yeah, it really is. Daytona was the turning point.
Daytona, and honestly, we should have saw it coming with Kurt.
Maybe Pocono. Maybe Pocono was the turning point with Kurt.
Well, Kurt's injury, we thought at that time was just a one-off thing. Now we know it's not, and we've got it's been piling up, man. It's just piling up. I don't know at what point we completely lost control, but it seems like the NASCAR fans were NASCAR Twitter, which is a cesspool,
right,
was so happy throughout the season. Even somebody like me who comes looking at things from the I don't know how to say this, like I have a hard critique of NASCAR, but I was really enjoying the season.
Well, and
now it's completely spun the other way on.
I'm an overly positive NASCAR. I'm not in any other part of my life, but with NASCAR, I am. And they've even lost me at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready for the season to be over and a reset, and hopefully we can let's shuffle some things around up at the top. Let's fix this car and come back next year and do it right. Yeah,
this boy, I felt like NASCAR had great momentum, and then football started, and we're back to where we've been in the past. It's just frustrating, man, because I think it's extra frustrating because we had it. We had something good cooking, and they screwed up the Drive to Survive show that they were trying to mimic, right? They screwed that up.
I only watched the first episode. I haven't watched
it. They finally put it on a streamer, so good for them. It's just I don't know. It's just a disappointment where we've found ourselves. Like, we should be celebrating this race because we had such a great moment for Chris Bell, and it's hard because everything else, such as life in NASCAR, everything else has sucked the air completely out of the room again.
Yes.
Again.
Let's look at the results here. If there's anything worth mentioning, I think really lost in this completely is the fact that Kyle Busch got a third place finish in this race.
His quote was, "Nothing went wrong."
Yeah. Kevin Harvick finished second. AJ Allmendinger finishes fourth. Certainly had a potentially winning car the day after dominating in the Xfinity Series. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
But great run for AJ. Certainly big things coming for him next year. I mean, should we just pencil him into the playoffs at this point for next year?
Possibly. He could have won this race. I know he roughed up Chase Elliott pretty bad, and that's another thing. Chase Elliott was probably going to win this race.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Chase ends up 20th.
Yeah, he led 30 laps. He led the most on the day. But yeah, got a cut tire from that contact.
It was Reddick who spun him, wasn't it?
Yeah, eventually, but I think he was already.
Yeah.
I think he had problems after the Allmendinger contact that really. Yeah, Allmendinger used him up. I was surprised, but Chase is locked in already at that point, so maybe AJ considered that. I don't know.
Well, AJ, I mean, Chase didn't run AJ very clean either. So the restart before that, Chase was pretty hard on AJ. We'll look one spot back with colleague Justin Haley with the top 5 as well. So both colleague cars in the top 5 in this race, pretty cool. Bubba Wallace finishes 7th on a road course. I mean, I think that's his second top 10 on a road course this year.
Yeah,
I think he did it at Indy too.
Yeah, and I would mention all these drivers you're naming. 2 playoff drivers in the top 10.
Yeah.
One first and ninth, the guys who advance.
Yeah.
Bell and Briscoe.
Yep. I mean, Bubba was a playoff driver too, but he did not advance.
No. Technically, yeah, Tyler Reddick
I guess he wasn't a playoff driver, but he was driving a playoff car.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in the owner's points. Which, by the way, Kyle Larson's still racing for a championship, even though he's eliminated.
That's true. Austin Cindric ends up 21st. For a road course guy, seeing his moves on the last lap that took him out of this thing.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. You gotta talk about somebody who raced like an idiot on the last lap.
He had himself in position though at one point late, but again, the way that restart came out, Eric, it was just chaos. Absolute chaos.
Yeah, most of it was because of the 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ryan Blaney ends up 26. He was parked in a corner with Chase Elliott on turn 1 at one point.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that went down in turn 1 in the last couple of restarts.
Yeah. And Eric, we should mention that also in this race, the stage points did play a massive factor for these guys. Ross Chastain ended up in 37th spot, but won stage 2 and really didn't have to worry about points. Like they knew they were going to be in a good place. He was the worst finishing guy out of the entire, and Joey Logano, who, we talked about a week ago, gave up a ton of points at Talladega for no reason and put himself kind of in a vulnerable spot. He goes out in stage 1, wins it, Byron second, and pretty much that set up the rest of their day because they know they had those points in the bank. They really could play with it a little bit. And, Joey leaves with an 18th place finish and Byron 16th. But those good finishes in that stage opened up the rest of the race for him. Chase Briscoe got stage points too early on. So it matters because, you look at Chase Briscoe, for example, he gets 3 points in stage 2, and that's all the difference for him.
Yeah.
Right there. It's that simple. The way that the pit strategy and things work out here on these road courses.
Let's look at that real quick while we do that. Let's look at stage 1. Stage 1 winner Joey Logano. He finishes 18th.
Yep.
Stage 1 second place William Byron 16th. Third place Daniel Suarez 36th.
Yep.
What is the common denominator? Fourth place Ryan Blaney 26th.
Playoff
the guys that win
points.
the stages finish in the back. Can we just get rid of the cautions for the stages on the road courses?
I think it's time.
It's
that's
time
one of
to do
your. Yeah, that's.
I'm the last one to come around on this, but we got to do it because these road courses are completely ruined because of the strategy game. And I think it was DBC, I think, that mentioned that. I'm sorry guys that if they do that, you're going to have to get a commercial break during a green flag run. James, they were in commercial with 3 laps to go in both stages when pit stops were starting because why the hell are they going to commercial 3 laps before a commercial?
I don't know, but
God.
you're the early adopter of just run the race and don't stop the stages at the road course. And I was like, whatever. But last time we raced at a road course, I came all the way around and got on my soapbox and said, Eric, you were right. Because
here in super speedways, we need to get rid of the cautions for the stages. Everywhere else, let's keep them. Here in super speedways, get rid of them.
Yep, that's fine with me.
I don't know. Is there anything else really to talk about with this race, James? We've beat it to death.
I've already used up my voice and screamed and yelled, so I think we can. I feel like we can leave it out.
Well, before we move on to the Xfinity Series, we now are in the round of 8.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We don't have it in the notes, but I want to, because James did the notes today and he did a terrible job as usual. Just kidding.
Excuse me.
I want to pick our final 4. Real quick. So
sure.
I'm going to put that in the notes right now. And James, who do you have for your final 4?
Oh boy. Well, I gotta stick with a couple of my preseason picks.
Okay. I'm not
so
even
Byron, I gotta put. Yeah, I gotta put Byron in. I know he was one of my picks early on. I'll put Chase Elliott in because he's got points. Those guys are gonna run really really good the next couple of weeks, so I'll put those guys in. I am gonna say Denny Hamlin will get there somehow, some way. And I just think Chris Bell is going to be consistent enough to do it, to get in. So I'll go with those 4.
Nice.
So 2 Gibbs and 2 Hendrick.
We're pretty similar, actually. I'm going to go Chase. I mean, I think Chase losing out would be a bigger shock, I think, than Harvick being out a couple of years ago.
He's got to make it right now because he's got a lot of points, and I don't think anybody's going to win and take too many spots, honestly, the way this has been going. So I
still think that this is lending itself to a Denny Hamlin championship. I'm putting Denny in the final 4.
Dennis. It's always Denny's year until it's not, right? Is that what they said on the teardown?
Yeah. And then I got to go with Bell. I mean, I think he's proven to us that he's got what it takes to get through these rounds, and I think he's going to do it one more time.
Yep.
Hopefully for him, he can do it a little easier than having to do it in the last race.
Yep.
But I got to put Bell through. I think he's strong. And then my last pick, James, I know he's been quiet, but I think he's getting ready to light things back up. And as they say on DVC, I think the Ross Chastain Don't Give an F tour is coming back. And I think Chastain's our 4th one.
Well, that team has been fast all year and dang near put 2 cars in the round of 8.
Well, now you got all the resources on one car, so.
Yeah, now they're going to give it all to Ross Chastain, and you know that the Denny Hamlin payback at Martinsville could still possibly happen.
Ain't happening.
No, Denny's got too much to race for. Can I tell you what I'm rooting for to happen?
Sure.
What would make me the happiest as a cynic that I am, I would like for Ryan Blaney to win this championship without winning a race.
Yeah.
That would bring me a lot of joy. Because people would be kicking and screaming and throwing big tantrums, and I would be just sitting in my chair, twiddling my thumbs, happy.
Do you think he can do it?
You got to win it. I believe you have to win a race to win the championship. And if he can't get a win at this point, I have a hard time thinking he's going to win a race. He's fast enough. He could do it.
I don't have him in my final 4, but I put Bell in there because I think Bell's got that muster that you need to do it. But I could very easily put Blaney in instead of Bell.
Yeah, Blaney's probably my 5th guy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think Byron's got a good shot too. I think Byron's run really well, and I don't know. I just like Chastain. I've liked Chastain all year.
Yeah, I just think Byron's going to 2 tracks where he's going to perform extremely high level.
Yeah.
He's going to do well at Vegas. He's going to do well at Homestead. It's Martinsville. He's going to have to figure that out. But I gotta stick with him. I've had him.
In all honesty, I think that part of the deck is stacked against Blaney because Blaney isn't a Ford.
That's right, and that's why I can't. That's why I have a hard time with Logano as well.
Yeah.
But
I just haven't seen enough out of Logano. He's been around, and obviously he's 2nd seed right now. But I just don't see enough out of him to say that he's going to go through. Now, I mean, you can get a win in advance. Anybody in the 8 can get a win in advance. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't see Logano doing it. I don't see this being Joey's year.
Yeah, I feel like we've got 2 guys who have won championships.
I know. I was just gonna say we only have 2 guys left.
But I would throw Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin has all the championship experience that those 2 guys also have. He just hasn't gotten the job done.
Denny is a grizzled veteran.
Yeah, I would. Part of me wants.
I would say Denny's more. I mean, Denny's more of a veteran than Chase is.
Oh, of course, he's been through more wars. He just hasn't gotten the. He just hasn't achieved the listen, Denny's been beat every which way possible.
Yeah.
The only thing left for him to do is actually get the job done. So, but those guys have all had the championship experience. And, and we haven't mentioned him because he's the last guy in, but Chase Briscoe, yeah, he's the underdog. He's the Cinderella, right? If you're thinking about the college tournament, that's what he's doing. And, they're going to struggle to gain points somewhere along the way, but if they figure out a way to get to Phoenix, man, what a story that could be. That could be the big thing. They just don't have the speed, but I can't believe they've worked their way into the top 8. It's just unbelievable that they've managed their way through this thing. It's pretty cool to see them.
Would you have picked Chase Briscoe as the last remaining Stewart-Haas car to be in the 8? I
can't believe he made it to the round of 8. It's pretty impressive for a guy as early in his career as he is. It's and a team that's not the fastest.
Right, exactly. It's not a Hendrick team. It's not a JGR team.
Right.
So yeah, no, I agree. I can't say anything against what you just said. So
Yep. But
NASCAR Xfinity Series was in action on Saturday. The Drive for the Cure 250 or the AJ Allmendinger 250. AJ undefeated at the Roval, 4 wins in a row. And good news is, James, he won't win next year.
Well, unless he drives next year for it.
He can't race in this race next year because he's going to be in the Cup Series. So
that's right. Yeah, it'll be too late in the playoff run for him to be in it. Yeah,
so
good
AJ
point.
will not win this race next year.
Man, well, 4-0 is pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Even Michael Jordan retired at one point to
right.
let other people win, so that's fine.
Right. Yeah. This was AJ Allmendinger's race. Won the first stage. Played the strategy game to not place in the second stage, place for points, but was able to get the win, and ran away with her. 25 laps led in this sucker. The only other driver close was Ty Gibbs with 24 led.
And the top 3 guys for the championship, top 3 in this race.
Yeah.
Noah Gregson navigated this race really well. Just continuing. Eric Noah is extremely strong. It's going to be hard pressed to beat that guy. Right now.
I think he is dedicated to winning this title.
It's been what a run. Jeez, man. Since Darlington, 4 wins, a 10th at Talladega and a 3rd at the Roval. He's just on a tear. Absolute tear.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't crash at Daytona, he's got a streak even longer all the way back to Pocono.
Right.
It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And he got disqualified at New Hampshire. I mean, this has been, I don't know. It's just, I'm looking through his stats and I'm just like, God dang, dude, he hasn't had a bad race since Texas early in the season.
Yeah.
So just an incredible run. I mean, that team has elevated. This is what I wish we were seeing in the Cup Series. Somebody coming to just take this thing.
Well, this is what I wish we were seeing in the Cup Series is this race car.
True. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
This is the best series right now, in my opinion.
It's been fantastic.
James Davison gets a 4th place finish in the 18 car. Good run for him. Alex Labay in 6th place. Good run for him. Looking at the playoffs, Ryan Sieg, Daniel Hemrick, Riley Herbst, and Jeremy Clements are out. Riley, man, he just imploded in this one. Absolutely imploded.
Yeah.
It was a rough day.
That was tough to watch. And Daniel got in a wreck late. He might have been the one to loosen up the sign.
Yeah.
For Sunday.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get to defend his title. So we lost our 2 defending champions. We're going to have a pair of new champions in the Xfinity and Cup Series.
Yep.
So we got that going on.
Daniel will be back in that car next year, though, so that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Saw that. Yep. Saw that late this week. So that's really cool. That team, they've got their lineup pretty much set over at Colleague. I'm sure they're pleasantly surprised. Eric, I feel like the final 4 for the Xfinity Series is probably close to set.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they talked about this on DBC. Josh Berry is a wild card.
Yeah.
Josh Berry certainly could win one of these races.
Martinsville.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas even. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, Martinsville.
Homestead too.
You can almost pencil him in for Martinsville. So,
yep.
So that's an opportunity. I don't think you sleep on the old 21 car there either. I think Austin Hill still has something in him too.
Yeah, I think at Vegas and Homestead he'll be a threat.
That's what's going to throw the wrench into this thing is somebody getting a win, because aside from that, at least the top 3 are going. I mean, Gregson's in at this point. I mean, Gregson could sit out 2 of them and still make the final 4.
The problem Gregson has is he's above the cut line, but it's tight between him and AJ still. It's only 12.
That's true. That is true.
So that's the thing. He's got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, but Gregson's going to just, I mean, he's going to top 5 him to death, if not win the rest of these races. I mean,
it's just,
we know Gregson's good at Homestead, although he hasn't won there, I don't think yet. But he runs really well there. And I mean, Vegas, he's going to run well there. AJ's proven he can run anywhere. Ty Gibbs has been spectacular. And obviously, Justin Allgaier has been great. So barring some mechanical failure, which, man, James, at one point in this race, I thought we were losing Allgaier. They had that puff of smoke coming out of the exhaust, and if he would have been out, I mean, if he went out, he'd have been out of the playoffs. Yep. And man, that would have been a terrible loss.
Well, from that to rallying into a top 5 is just I mean, that's same thing with Denny Hamlin. Justin Allgaier's been through this war a few times too, and
still can't believe he hasn't won a championship.
I mean, and he could steal this thing. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. He's got the stuff. He's got the same stuff that Noah drives.
James, any of those top 4, I wouldn't even bat an eye if one of them won a championship.
I wouldn't be surprised if any of them. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And honestly, of the 4 out right now, I mean, really the only one that I'd go, holy cow, would be Sam Mayer. No offense to Sam.
Yeah.
But I mean, Austin Hill has won a championship in the Truck Series. He's proven himself. Brandon Jones has been in, NASCAR long enough to where he could, I mean, we've seen him win in situations that, that you don't expect him to. Yep. And Josh Berry is, first of all, driving a JRM car, and I think he's very much proven himself. Yep. And he runs well at tracks that are coming up. So, I mean, it's up in the air still. It's pretty up in the air.
Yep.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing comes to a close. Yeah. I really hope, personally, I hope Noah Gragson, I as much as I enjoy AJ, Noah and Ty are the two. Like, I want to see the future of the sport.
Yeah.
Go take one. Yeah. I don't know who's gonna. I wouldn't be disappointed if either of them do it.
I'm all
seems like it's Noah's year.
I'm all in on Gregson. I want to see Gregson win the title, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Allgaier because it's just time, man.
Yeah.
He's been doing it long enough. It's time.
Yep. And if he does, that's great. I mean, the experience that Ty and Noah are getting right now will pay dividends for them and down the road. They're learning. They are the future of NASCAR. They are learning how to win. At the
difference between Ty and Noah right now, and I'm basing this completely off of just my own thoughts. I mean, I don't know any inside information, but to me, Ty is already in the Cup Series, and Gregson is still wanting to win the Xfinity Series. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like even though it's ironic that Noah Gragson has announced that he's running the Cup Series next year and Ty Gibbs hasn't, I still feel like it's the other way around. I think Ty's already focusing on the future, and Noah wants to get himself a championship here. So
exactly.
And Ty probably has a better shot at earning a title quicker in the Cup Series where he's going. I mean, not that RPM or that Petty GMS is a slouch, but the JGR team I think is still a notch above them at this point.
Yep.
So
they will be strong for sure.
So that's just kind of how it plays out.
Yep.
So there you go.
Absolutely.
Couple items in the news. Speaking of silly season, we heard today that likely Tyler Reddick has been bought out from Richard Childress Racing and will drive for 2311 next season. According to reports, I'm expecting an announcement this weekend at Las Vegas. Also had heard rumors that there was going to be some sort of announcement or clarification on Kurt Busch. I'm not going to speculate anything about the future of Kurt Busch in NASCAR. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the best case scenario for Reddick and RCR. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. I was doubting whether it was going to happen, but looks like it's going to, James.
Yeah, this was my stance all along, was to do whatever it takes to get him out of RCR. Don't waste a year of Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
And bring him in.
And I never thought that it wasn't something that 2311 wanted. I just thought that maybe RCR would stay,
of spite.
out of spite, or just out of, one extra year that he's not beating them.
Right, exactly. No, and your arguments were absolutely valid. I just thought at the end of the day, what's Richard's goal over there? And the big goal for them is to make the 8-car fast with Kyle Busch. And
you're not going to do that by having to rent a team.
Right, and buying a charter is going to take away from the speed of the 8-car.
Well, as soon as they said they were going to lease a charter, not buy one, I knew that this was probably
it's all posturing and politicking to get and at the end of the day, Michael Jordan comes with a checkbook and Denny Hamlin, and they say, okay, let's figure this out. Let's hammer out a deal. What do we got to do?
Yep, old MJ finally opened the pocketbook up.
Yep, I mean it's the way this was always going to go.
Yeah,
again, this isn't official until this week, and you said before the pod, Eric, we're not speculating on what's going to go on with Kurt Busch. We don't know what car Tyler Reddick would drive over there just yet. We could expect it's the 45, or maybe they go to a 3-car team where we're not 100% sure on what that looks like yet. But what we do know is that the Toyota field lost their best driver, but their future now is totally solidified. If they finalize the deals on Reddick and Ty Gibbs, I mean, they are set for gosh, Eric, that's 20 years.
James, I think everybody wins in this deal.
This is the way it has to be.
Nobody loses in this deal.
No.
Tyler Reddick is where he wants to be.
Kyle Busch is in a fresh place where he gets to do what he gets to do.
Richard Childress, I mean, as much as a deficit is to lose Tyler Reddick, you gain Kyle Busch. I mean,
there's not,
if you're going to say you're going to lose Tyler Reddick, pick somebody in the garage that you want in his place.
There's only 5. If you've got Tyler Reddick, you're only upgrading if you get 4 guys.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 guys potentially, and Kyle's probably pretty high at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, I can
He's
only
the only
think
2-time champion.
Yeah, I can only think of Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and
Harvick.
I would throw like Denny Hamlin.
Harvick's
like
too
if
old.
you were, Harvick's too old. But
Denny's not.
No, I don't think so. Denny's
really okay. That's interesting.
I mean, one of them's on the cusp of a championship.
Yeah, I would say I would go with a 3 you mentioned. But I don't know beyond that.
And you know how highly I think of a couple of other guys, as good as I think Byron and Jones and Bell, like those guys are all really, really good, but they're all in the same class as Tyler Reddick. They are of the same ilk. You know,
a lot of potential.
There's not a proven better commodity than Tyler Reddick when you think of it that way. He is in whatever that second class of driver is, below champions. He's in that group.
And I don't think there's not a better proven driver in the sport right now than Kyle Busch.
That's right.
I mean, wins championships.
Recent struggles be danged. Yeah. His resume is second to none.
But how many times have we seen recent struggles turn into wins when they move teams? I mean,
dude, it happens all the time. When he first switched to Joe Gibbs Racing 15 years ago, he was the cast-off to get Dale Jr. over to Hendrick Motorsports.
Right.
And he exploded onto the scene. Took him a while to figure out how to win championships, but the dude was immediately the fastest guy in the sport.
Yep.
And he went on what would you say, Eric? He went on a 12-year run of being the fastest driver, probably the best driver in the garage for a sustainable period of time.
Yeah, I mean,
like the best talent in the sport. So, everybody wins.
Him
here.
and Jimmy.
Yep. Yeah.
Without Jimmy Johnson in the sport, Kyle Busch is
Jimmy Johnson took a lot of championships from a lot.
Kyle Busch is already a superstar with Jimmy Johnson in the sport. Can you imagine with Jimmy out of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, so
lots of guys don't have titles because of that dude.
That's true. We mentioned already the William Byron won his appeal. Before the Roval got 25 points back, they fined him $100,000 instead of $50,000. NASCAR changed the rule book to hopefully prevent this from being appealed and won again.
Yep.
So there you go. Dodge has been talking about rejoining NASCAR, potentially was talking with RFK, but those talks have stalled. Yep. No pun intended. Again, I mentioned it earlier, we made a bunch of changes to the sport in an attempt to lure more manufacturers to it. And so far it has done nada.
Yeah, that was an interesting. When we read the RFK portion of it, that's an interesting play.
Yeah.
Because I
Can
mean,
you imagine Roush switching to anything but Ford?
yeah, that was huge. But it makes sense for Brad.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Dodge guy, so
Yep.
that makes sense there. But in the pecking order of Ford, RFK is the
They're pretty low.
third option
Yeah.
in the garage. So third option and what the ninth car in line.
Yeah.
when you've got all the cars that come with Stewart Haas and Penske. So
Yeah, if you've got an opportunity to go to be the top car to manufacturer, I mean,
exactly.
You've got to go.
Yeah, that could have been a big boon for Brad. But I understand why they were looking at it. I also Dodge said it without saying it that they're not impressed with the lack of horsepower.
yeah.
Hence the reason that they emphasize their relationship with the NHRA and Tony Stewart. I found that part of it interesting, that they were saying that they were just going to continue their focus in NHRA, which cannot be. If you're in the NHRA, you cannot be getting your money back for your investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it certainly doesn't have the eyeballs.
Yeah, am I alone in that thought? Would you agree with that?
No, I mean, who's buying? I don't even know what cars Dodge has anymore, but who's buying a Dodge Challenger because they watched a drag race?
Well, I think they're getting rid of some of those.
Yeah, they are
Production cars.
Well, I think they're getting rid of. If I remember correctly, they're getting rid of the Challenger and they're bringing it back as an electric car.
Yes, yeah.
So they're not really getting rid of it.
As intrigued by electric cars as I am, that's a disgrace. Call it something different.
Yeah. Don't get me. I was on the social media electric car bandwagon today too.
Yeah, you were.
Arguing, so don't get me started on that. I can get into that too.
Well, and that brings our conversation full circle because who's the one driver who has told us electric is coming in some way, whether we want it to or not? It's coming to NASCAR.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski. Keselowski told us this years ago.
Part of the reason that this car was developed, I think, was with hybrid technology in mind.
Yes, to have electric power bolster the engine a little bit more. So yeah,
Can we do it now and get some more horsepower thanks to electric? I mean, whatever we got to do, man.
Whatever.
Let's make these rear tires spin.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea.
NASCAR owners are voicing concerns over NASCAR's business model.
This was the biggest news of the week until until whatever happened at the Roval happened.
So Jeff Gordon says, and I'm looking to see if I can find the quote in this article that you shared.
His very far apart quote, or are you talking about his?
He says, or Rick Hendrick said that they are losing money, that Hendrick Motorsports has not profited in several years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you buy that? Why are you still in the sport then if you are not making anything? If you're just breaking even or losing money? Unless you're using it as a write-off for all of your other businesses, in which case it's really not the losing venture you're saying it is.
Well, I'm sure Jeff Gordon's getting a paycheck.
Right.
And I'm sure Rick Hendrick's getting a paycheck. And
right.
I'm sure the people that they're employing get a paycheck.
I mean, do you think this is all legit, or do you think this is posturing for trying to... I mean, I get that they are not getting as big of a piece of the pie as other sports get.
I am pro, we got to help the teams out, and the business model is not right. I don't know... I've said the business model is broken before, and I will stick to that point.
But if you look at what your local short track does, or you look at any other racing series, the series puts up the purse, and you race for the purse,
right? And
you're not getting part of the profits from the series. You know what I mean?
But hence,
I mean, I guess just because that's how it's always been done doesn't mean that's the right way.
And you got to remember too, Eric, your Saturday night short tracks,
right,
versus NASCAR, your Saturday night short tracks aren't chartered, which is basically
true.
We call them charters in NASCAR, but what is that really called? That's a franchise.
Yeah,
you're franchised in. So
that's
if you're asking your teams to foot the bill for a ton of stuff, and if they want to expand, they have to buy into the franchise. You gotta give them a little more. You can't put all the pressure on the teams to be the only ones losing money.
I'll argue against myself too on this, and that NASCAR is also competing with the teams, whether they like to say it or not, for sponsorship.
Correct.
I mean, we saw a team fold because they lost Geico sponsorship because they're now a NASCAR sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we saw changes with the Monster when Monster became the Cup Series sponsor.
Yep.
These guys, the series is competing with the teams for sponsorship dollars too, and
That's how
that shouldn't be
NASCAR.
the case.
That's how NASCAR exploded when Junior Johnson took Winston over and said, "Sponsor the series, don't sponsor the car."
Yep.
We wouldn't probably be here without that whole situation. Right. But I just Jeff Gordon is a credible voice in this sport, and you know, I know he's got a little bit of it all. He's on the business side, he's with the drivers, he's, you know, in the ownership side now. And the other guy, and his name escapes me, so my apologies. But basically, Michael Jordan's right hand businessman that helps him with 2311 Racing.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
I can't think of his name. My apologies. You can look it up if you want to read in more on this. We're a amateur podcast doing our thing, but they it's
Curtis Polk, by the way.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. And it's in this article too if I keep scrolling down, which is linked in the show notes. But this guy, listen, Michael Jordan has got his toe in a lot of business deals, man.
Yeah. And
if you think Michael Jordan is losing money on any of those things, you are sorely mistaken. So if this is the one avenue where, I'll say it, he's probably the richest guy in the sport, right?
Yeah.
Is that a stretch? At least on the ownership side, he's the richest guy in the sport.
Could
so, those guys don't lose money. They know how to generate revenue for many different things. So if they're going to come to the table with that, then yeah, that's gotta mean something. And I hope NASCAR is listening, because I think we can divide this pie up a little bit more.
I basically got the impression after this article and this weekend discussions from this weekend that they're a lot further apart.
Oh, I think
than
so.
They want to be.
Yeah, and you know what? NASCAR's gotta play ball a little bit here too, because the teams could just say, you know what? Maybe we'll just not show up one week.
Yeah.
And then you're really in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, I think the number I heard was 40 million. NASCAR was looking to add 40 million to the teams. That's $1 million a team. I mean, that's not
doing
not
anything.
Great.
Yeah, that's not generating speed.
That's not helping you sign Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
You know?
So Eric, have you followed along with what's going on in Formula One with
No.
the spending cap? Okay.
No.
Synopsis time. I'll be really quick. Basically, Aston Martin and Team Red Bull last year were discovered to have exceeded the spending cap for Formula One, which is, I believe, $140 million.
Okay.
In my understanding is that they spent, I believe it was around $7 million extra in development of their cars past the spending cap, which over the course of the season, if I'm not mistaken, was half a second a lap. Which you would think doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, but when you're talking about how fast those guys are going, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if my point being, I don't know if a spending cap would work in NASCAR, because these guys are gonna swallow themselves up. That's what they have always done, you know.
Right.
Hendrick Motorsports isn't invested to lose. They're gonna figure out a way to spend. Even with this new car being what it is, we see it already. You don't see Rick Ware Racing competing for wins.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, but hopefully, and I put it here in the notes, I guess we could talk about that too. NASCAR, I was reading earlier this week, NASCAR's looking at additional streaming television partners.
Yeah.
And if that could help generate a ton more revenue, and I was thinking as well, potentially shorten the season with not cutting races, but shortening the time frame of the season, I think we could figure out a way to alleviate some of the spending and generate more revenue at the same time. That I think would be intriguing to the teams and to NASCAR. And I think that could work for everybody if you start looking at things like that, because we've seen Amazon's Thursday Night Football taking off
Right.
They paid a shit ton of money. Sorry. I might have to bleep me out twice in this podcast.
God, now I got to find 2 of those.
I know. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm letting them fly tonight. But Amazon paid a ton of money to get NFL rights. And I think a streamer would pay pretty decent rights for live sports.
Yeah.
So I think there's some avenues there that NASCAR needs to explore with the teams, work together.
Yeah. I just hope that they choose a streaming partner that I already pay for.
Right. Yeah, me too. Well, here's my ideal world, Eric. This is what if I had my perfect scenario, NASCAR would partner with a streamer for like 8 races out of the year. And those races would be set up in the primetime slots. And it would almost be like the summer series for NASCAR. They'd be night races, and they'd be mostly midweek races. And it could shorten the calendar for us a little bit because we are getting our butts kicked by football.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had such a great season.
That was another one of the arguments that I had to argue on Twitter with the whole point system, is that every time the playoffs roll around, we tank in the ratings because of the playoffs. I said, no, we don't tank in the ratings of the playoffs. We tank in the ratings of the NFL.
You can't compete with the NFL. Chase Elliott said it, and he was totally right. You cannot compete with football on the weekends. You basically have 2 professional sports on Saturday and Sunday. College football is professional sports. I don't care what anybody says. That's bigger business than the NFL. But
it is.
It's you gotta find. I just think NASCAR could find a home, and if they could find a third streaming partner as a television partner, I think NASCAR could find a sweet home in between the NFL season, start in February, end in September.
Can we put the truck series on Amazon and get rid of Fox for those?
Oh my God, Eric, that would be so great. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be awesome.
I don't care what streamer it is. Honest to God, like any streamer has got to
give it to Apple TV Plus just to piss everybody off.
Oh, that would really make people mad. I think honestly, the one I thought of would be Paramount. Paramount does live sports on their streamer, and I thought that'd be a nice home. And they already have SRX, so
there you go.
Thought that'd be a nice spot. But anyway, I did not expect to get up on a soapbox and do this tonight. So
yeah. Interesting. It's a lot of interesting stuff. I think I
have ideas, Eric.
The whole TV package thing is going to be interesting as we go. So
yeah. Anyway, it all ties into whatever we're doing with this NASCAR business model. So there you go.
Wow. News is breaking today, but I don't know that any new news is broken. I'm just checking Twitter right now.
And I forgot. One of the things that I needed to do was put the next race names on the notes. So I'm going to do that, Eric.
Yeah, you can do that while I'm trying to find out whether anything broke. It doesn't look like it though. Looks like so far we're good. We
record live.
I don't know that we mentioned on the podcast about the Kevin Harvick penalty.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that broke after we recorded last week.
So yes. Harvick was a random, and I put that in air quotes, random.
Oh boy, was he ever!
Choice to go to the R&D center, and they found issues with the deck lid. And they have been penalized. I don't have the penalties right in front of me, but
it was 100. It was 100 points.
Yeah, a big penalty for them. They are appealing that. So we'll see what happens there. James, do you have an issue with the random pick not being so random? Because that is one of the arguments. First of all, let me say this: I do not believe that. I believe that they found something with the deck lid. I think that's legit, but I think they chose Harvick's car because Harvick has been vocal.
And I think they looked at that car with an extreme fine-tooth comb.
Probably.
And any little infraction was going to get nailed. No, they didn't pick that 4 car by random.
Do you have an issue with that, though?
Harvick and... yeah, I kind of do.
I only have an issue with it because they call it random.
Yeah, it's not fair to call it random. And then
why don't we take 3 random cars or 2 random cars and our choice?
It should be a drawing... And if you pick the 4 car 3 weeks in a row, so be it.
Yeah. See, I disagree. I think NASCAR should have the ability to grab a car if they want to choose a particular car. If they suspect something or they,
I agree with that.
So I mean,
agree with that.
But the problem is they call it random, and it maybe, who knows, maybe it was random, but it seems like a pretty heavy coincidence.
It's not random. No, it's not random. It's not. It's not.
So
now Denny Hamlin did not get his car taken.
No. So maybe it is random.
Maybe.
But I mean, Harvick was the first to start.
That's right.
Denny jumped on the bandwagon after Harvick did. So
Harvick and Denny, between the two of them, they've really led the charge here.
They've stirred up some crap.
Starting some stuff, which I like.
Since you have the race names in here now, James, it's time for our picks. Looking at last week, we tied.
First time ever we
First
tied.
time ever.
Yeah, we looked at the points before we recorded tonight, and this is our 6th race within 2 points of each other all season long, and now we still have a 28-point difference heading into the final 4 weeks of the season. So it's coming down right to it now.
James, you are ahead, so I get to pick first. The first race is first of all, we're at Las Vegas this weekend, by the way. First race is the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the Allsco Uniforms 302. And I'm going to make it real easy. I'm going to go with the guy with momentum, and I'm going to go Noah Gragson as my pick for Las Vegas.
I can't blame you there.
Yeah.
So Noah's going to be tough to beat.
Yes.
So, yep. That's good. Well, man, Eric, our points are so close that you got to be smart here. I was going to maybe take Ty Gibbs here, but actually a guy we talked about quite a bit in this episode, and I think will have a great run, Justin Allgaier. Give me Justin Allgaier.
Almost started typing it before you said it.
Yep.
The Cup Series on Sunday. It is the South Point 400 at Las Vegas. And James, I think it's time to break out. I think it's time to kick things off with a driver winning his way into the Final Four.
Ooh.
And I am going Ross Chastain as my pick here.
Wow. We haven't had...
It's been a while.
It's been a while for Ross.
Chastain was 2nd or 3rd in this race in the spring. I can't remember. He ran well.
Yep.
So
I'm going with someone. I think
just for the record, the winner last in the spring, potentially, we don't know yet, will not be in this race, which is Alex Bowman.
Yes. Yeah. And Alex Bowman was really good at Kansas.
Yeah. So
we can't pick Alex.
No.
And I don't know if I would right now anyway. He's got to come back first. However, I know who I'm going to pick.
Okay.
And the last time I picked him, he won.
Okay.
His name, Bubba Wallace.
Nice.
He is going to come to Vegas.
That's a good pick.
And he's going to bring that Kansas piece, and he's going to whoop up on him.
And he's got an old Toyota. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I said, Las Vegas 1 was a long, long time ago. And I just think let's go. I looked at Kansas a little bit closely because there's some similarities there, and I just think that 2311 team with Bub Wallace is going to come in looking to spoil the show.
That's not a bad pick.
Yeah. Why thank you. I don't know if that's a compliment, but I'll say it was.
No, that's a good one. I like that one. I'm trying to filibuster here for a second. Okay, I got it. Fantasy League. Taking a look at the Fantasy League. James, we had a winner this week.
Oh my God.
The champ is here.
The champ. The champ. That was really good. I wasn't expecting that.
I downloaded a soundboard with a bunch of sounds just for this podcast, but I didn't want to overuse it because it's pretty cheesy. But that's one of them.
Man, can you get Stone Cold's entrance music? That'd be.
I don't believe Stone Cold is on here, so I don't have that.
Ah, bummer. Bummer.
But yeah.
But yeah, Ranger took the bow.
Yes, he did.
So he's not giving up. But this race was chaotic, and I definitely jumbled up our points quite a bit.
Do you want to know how chaotic it was, James? I forgot to pick this week, and I got 4th place.
Yeah, this is one of your best showings.
It's my best run in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, so you did really well. Yeah, so Ranger gets the win. Tandem Draft Tona 3rd, Tandem Draft Tona 2nd, Freight Train 3rd, then Eric, like you said, you're 4th. The championship battle, as a 2-point split, Green Eggs and Hamlin gained 2 on me. He finished 6th. I was 8th. Benched AJ Allmendinger after reports of his second gear issue. Thought that was going to come back and bite me. Well, it did, only because it was me who did it. So, overall standings, like I said, I'm first still. First one to cross the 6,000 point mark, and then Green Eggs and Hamlin right there, 59-47. And Ranger Runyon, our winner, 58-35. I would say it's still a two-man race for the championship, but with Ranger lurking, never out of the picture. I was going to say, I looked at the playoffs standings, just points earned during the playoffs. Barron Speedway is crushing people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was up front for a couple weeks in a row.
He's won a bunch, and he's entered the conversation. He is not far off the podium. He could end up in, if he plays it right, he could probably end up in third by the time the season's over. I think he's too far away to steal the championship, but that's pretty cool to see him rising up the board. So there you go. Fantasy League update. I am trying to shake Green Eggs and Hamlin. I just don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see.
There you go. Let's see. You got any shout outs this week, James?
Yeah, actually my buddy Taylor sent me a idea for getting rid of Jackass Corner. He suggested red light, green light.
Okay.
So throw that possibility out there. Not sure if you'll like that one or not, but
interesting.
There you go. Red light, green light instead of I know we were looking to retire JAC.
Yeah.
So I'll shout Taylor out for that.
We'll pencil that one down as an option.
Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah, that'll be my shout out for the week.
Okay. I don't have any shout outs this week.
We went long.
I'm too irritated with people. But I do have a Jackass, James. So I don't want to retire Jackass Corner yet. Because I want to do one. And I do want to preface this by saying this was my Jackass pick before I listened to Door Bumper Clear and What an Idiot. Because there's also a pick for What an Idiot this week. But I'm going to go with the most popular driver. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott as my Jackass this week, James.
Oh, there it is.
Because post-race on pit road, TV sticks a camera behind him and he shoves the camera out of the way, and then the camera remains there and he comes over and walks away and directs the camera away from him. We find a driver or dock the driver points for influencing the race. What the hell is this? First of all, pit road. So here's the thing. Chase Elliott has this thing lately. He did it last year at Bristol right around this time, where he wants to have these private conversations, but he holds them out in public, and then he gets irritated when people get involved in the conversation. Go in a hauler or something, For one, I mean, I've been a media member at a number of NASCAR races. We're pretty much told that TV has full reign. They can go anywhere they want to go. Mm-hmm. They're the only media members that can go on pit road, for example. They can go over the pit wall. They can go into the garages when the rest of the media is not allowed unless you're invited in. TV has full reign. Not only that, but Clairby Lang is standing right there with a freaking microphone. Like, why in the hell is he getting irritated over a camera behind him?
I don't know.
I really wish fans would see this side of him and notice if Kyle Busch did that, people would be freaking out.
Yeah, that was my reaction.
Come on. Yep. I realize it's not that big of a deal, but it is. This is the most popular driver. This is the driver who's supposed to be accessible in a public area that is shoving cameras out of the way. Keep your hands off the camera, Chase, and suck it up, man. Go inside if you don't want people in on the conversation.
That's right.
He's my Jackass.
Yep. Good.
I'm losing some stuff for Chase. I think the real Chase is coming out a little bit.
He's acting a tad entitled. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I would say.
I will say I like some of what Chase is doing. And then there's this, he's got like this, it's not funny thing going on. I don't know where to place it. It's not, like when Smoke used to get angry, we could laugh at it.
Right.
Because he came at it with, sarcasm. Chase is just black and white. I don't like it. Get it out of my face.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell it like it is. And he doesn't play around with it. He is straightforward. And I think that rubs people the wrong way. And I think that's what I don't necessarily
what it comes down to is Tony was a smart ass.
Oh yeah.
And Chase is just being a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony had, listen, Tony was angry quite a bit, as we know. Chase is almost like he's holding in that anger a little bit.
Yeah.
Here I am, armchair psychologist,
right.
who Chase Elliott. But you know what I mean? That's the vibe I'm getting, I guess.
This really rubbed me the wrong way. I yelled at the TV when it happened.
Yeah. My response was, now imagine that's Kyle Busch. Anytime Chase Elliott or whatever, one of the more popular drivers does something that Kyle Busch has done a million times and gets crap for it, I immediately go, now imagine that guy's driving the 18 car.
Yep.
And let me know. Now I'm gonna have to change that next year.
Yes, you will.
That's how I visualize it anyway.
I also want to give NASCAR a Jackass Award just for their crappy officiating, but I think that's a given.
Well, I'll be really quick. Scott Miller.
Yeah.
Jackass.
There you go.
Sorry. Jackass. There.
Yeah.
I have no more elaboration. I have no more words for him and what is going on.
There you go. With that, James, where can people hit you up on? If Scott Miller wants to tweet you, how can he do that?
Oh, same place where Pete Pistone comes for me. At James Cush on Twitter.
You can get me at T Super Speedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, photos, and more. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Wherever you found us, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. New episodes each week until the season is over, and then we'll take an extended break before returning. With that, we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. It is the beginning of the round of 8. We'll be back next week to break it all down, talk about whatever craziness occurred this time, whoever got penalized for whatever stupid thing NASCAR missed on the racetrack. Whatever, we'll be back here next week to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.